This movie sucks!
Oh my god! We saw Man of Steel, and I'm sorry, I take back every bad thing I ever said about Iron Man 3. This movie takes the shit cake. It is so awful. And I know we are gonna do a full vlog of this with spoilers, of course, but this one, we are so filled with rage, we have to talk about it.
I had a bad day at work today, and coming into this, I thought, I was kind of nervous because I looked at everybody's reactions on Facebook and Twitter about the movie, and I knew going into this, it was basically the same reaction when people saw Iron Man 3, when that came out. And that was that either people really liked this movie, or they hated this movie. I was scared to death because of going into this thing because of the fact that we ended up hating Iron Man 3. But this one is even more stupid because, at least with Iron Man 3, I can understand why people like Iron Man 3 because, because there's some stuff that it's dope, it's stupid fun. But this doesn't even fall into that category of stupid fun.
Yes, please tell the people, Eric. Please tell them. Spoiler free, of course, but yes. Please tell them.
It's just the movie. I'm not really that much into I'm not really that into Superman. I never really got into it. I'm more of a Batman person. But, and it's not just from a Superman fan point that I'm enraged. It's just from a basic filmmaking standpoint. There's especially in the beginning, there's parts of the movie where, like Zack Snyder doesn't know how to do transitions whatsoever. In Watchmen, at least when he directed Watchmen, it made more sense. It made more sense to do it because it flowed that way. But at the beginning, it almost felt like he was trying to do the same thing, but it doesn't work because it's a Superman movie. It doesn't work that way, and
Superman doesn't work that way.
Thank you. And there's also parts of the movie where it just mocks your intelligence. It's like they repeat some stuff, like exposition stuff that they already showed us that we caught on the first time, and then they repeat it again, thinking, "Oh, you didn't catch on." I'm like, it's like, really? No, really?
They should call this "Repeat the Movie."
It's like if you weren't fucking paying attention. It's.
Doug, I know you have a lot to say,
So, Bearded Idiot. Yes, Lewis, I'm borrowing that one because he had a fucking beard in this.
And this is not even General Zod.
Yeah.
I can mention how much about General Zod, but I'll save that for the vlog, so.
Mm-hmm. General Zod looked stupid, but I actually thought he was pretty decent. But yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm in complete agreement. I'm not a big Superman fan. I enjoy Superman a little bit. Not as much as Batman. I'm a total Batman fan. But so I came into this one knowing that I'm probably not gonna love it. But, and yes, I'd seen, people were saying, they either hated it or they loved it. And, oh my god, there was a point at which I had to walk out. I'm not really spoiling anything, but at one point there's a flashback of a tornado, and they tell everybody to head for the overpass. Yeah. It's that kind of insult to our intelligence. And it was at that point where I'm just like, I need to get up. I need to get out of this theater, get more popcorn, just get more air before my brain cells rot away. And I'm glad I did. And I was hoping when I got back in that I would ask, hey, did I miss anything? And you'd say, oh, you missed this, that, and the other thing. When I walked back in, what did you say to me, Kat?
I I said you missed a whole buttload of stupid. And I am not lying about that. This fucking movie is so goddamn stupid. Like, it really must think that their audience are morons. Because, like I said, repeated dialogue, they show you the action, but then do a flashback on it later. Like, the transition is non-existent. Like, they leap ahead, like, 30 years, and you don't even realize it, like, at all. And it's like the characters, I feel nothing for the characters. Absolutely nothing. Like, everything is jumping around so much. Like, there are all these other little, like, mini characters that get attention for some reason, and you don't care about any of them. Like, the action would have been cool, but the pacing is so fucking horrendous.
Oh my God.
I was twitching in my seat. I wanted to leave with you so bad. And I'm like, no, I have to stay. Like, there's gotta be a beacon of hope, so it'll get better. It'll get better. It's not getting better. And it's just, God, I want to spoil this so bad, because there's just, like, so much wrong. Like, just like what you two said, I am not a big Superman fan, but I have enough respect for the guy and have enough knowledge of his mythos that I know when something is wrong. And there is so much wrong with this movie. It is just so... Oh, God. It's like... They had... Here's the sucky part. They could have had, like, good parts. Like, the whole fight scenes and everything. They could have been good, but the pacing bores you so much, and just trying to figure out what's going on, like, fucking Memento had, like, you can follow that better than you can follow this goddamn movie. I mean, God, it's just, like, at least, like I said, I take back everything what I said about Iron Man 3, because, like, as bad as Iron Man 3 was, at least it had, like, you know, a straight story. At least it didn't try to blind you with a billion explosions to distract you from the boring characters and the crappy storytelling. It's just, this movie hurt me. This movie hurt me so bad, and it shouldn't hurt me because I'm not that big a fan, but it does, and it...
Yeah, it was that kind of a movie. And I do also want to say, it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a video game.
Yeah, especially during the action sequences, especially when the Kryptonians were fighting against the humans, and the way they were moving around it was just like, all right, just give me a fucking controller and let me just start playing, because, like, it almost felt like I was watching, like, the action sequences for, like, Assassin's Creed. And it's funny because I just saw, I mean, E3 was earlier this week, and I saw one of the new trailers for Assassin's Creed 4, and just watching that and then watching Man of Steel, I'm just like, I feel like I've seen this before in some game or some action game or whatever. Maybe it was Bayonetta 2, because I saw that trailer too. But it's like, and it's obvious CG. Obviously, you could tell, but it's so point. It's like, really, it's like, you don't feel anything for the action. You don't feel You don't feel anything that's impactful. You just see punch, massive explosion somewhere. You know, punch another person, Superman gets knocked off, another building falls apart. Like, they destroyed pretty much all of Metropolis.
Pretty much.
When all is said and done. I was surprised because there's one also big final battle between Superman and General Zod. And by the time they got to that fight, I'm just sitting there going, you know what? At this point, there's nothing left of Metropolis. I'm surprised it's not even fucking rubble yet. And they're still fighting. I'm just like, there's nothing left of Metropolis to destroy. There's nothing left.
I felt like I was watching a merger of a Square Enix game and a Michael Bay movie. That's what it felt like to me. And, like, I love Square Enix, but their Final Fantasy shit, it's getting really bad.
But at least I wouldn't go so far as saying it's Michael Bay explosions, because at least in a Superman movie, I mean, if you've ever read any of the comics, like, there's destruction always, all the time. I mean, especially with Superman. So, I mean, the physics in this movie makes sense. I can understand.
Not all the time.
I mean, not all the time. Not all the time, but it does make sense, and they actually explain a little bit more with the science, and that was one of the few probably the only thing I actually liked about it, but I'll get into that later when we do the vlog. But just, it's like, it's kind of like what you say about Baz Luhrmann with The Great Gatsby. It doesn't know when to shut up. And that was the one, especially at the end, it didn't know when the fuck to shut up with this movie. It didn't know when to end.
It was like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. It would not end.
And I also want to say, it's become so cliche at this point that I'm wondering why they keep inserting it. I know why they keep doing it, but it completely negates everything that they're advertising, and it is this. Why do you keep putting the army in a lot of alien or superhero movies when everybody knows that they fail, that they cannot stand up to this menace? It has to be the titular character or characters that do battle. So why do you keep inserting the army, and not only inserting them and having them fight, but glorifying them? They can't stand up to the task, and yet they keep firing their weapons.
I wouldn't say that the army is not worthy of glorification, because after all, these are real men and women who put their lives on the line to keep everyone safe. But I will say, like, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but, like, in X-Men 3, that's the only time they actually did a good job with portraying the military correctly, and that they learn about Magneto's, like, magnet powers and make sure that they don't have any metal when they go to fight him. I don't understand why this didn't happen in Superman. Like, the first time they deal with these guys, like, the first time they even encounter Superman, they're like, oh, these people are just like you, super strength and vulnerability. Okay, we probably shouldn't shoot them, though, because that won't have any effect. Let's just focus on, evacuating people and, trying to create barriers and stuff. But no, they just go right ahead and they keep shooting them all in the fucking face, and and nothing happens, and yeah, like, you're right, like, this cliche needs to fucking die. Like, I realize it's mandatory for every single sci-fi movie ever made, but
know your limits.
Yeah, know your limits. Like, try to make the army look competent. Like, if that's your big thing, like, I understand, like, this is, like, a lot of the time when they add in the military, it's partially, to be like, hey, the army's great, join the army. At least, try to, like, show them being competent at something, for Christ's
sake. Put a limit to how much you use them. Don't make them walk into something where they're clearly outmatched and they're just committing suicide despite the fact that they're still firing fucking guns when they know they can't win.
It's like this, they're like, bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam, bam.
I will say
that didn't work. Let's keep trying.
As long as we're on the subject, they don't even bring up kryptonite whatsoever.
Yeah. No, they don't.
They don't. Like, as long as we're on that subject, because, like, I think that's the reason why the military just keeps doing it, because they got nothing else, because they don't know about kryptonite yet. At least, not yet.
It's the American way. If you don't understand something, you don't know how to beat it, keep shooting it.
Yeah, really. But, I mean, yes, it is pretty much, at this point, I don't think the cliche of the military, not standing up against the aliens, that's not going to go away anytime soon. It's been going around for, like, the last, 60 years, since the 50s.
But if you're going to have the army in there, and they're clearly outmatched, and don't possess, the technology, and know they do not possess the technology to go up against these, foes. Don't make them. Don't keep inserting them if they're just gonna keep failing and look completely incompetent. Make them a competent army. Know when to use them and when not to use them.
I will agree that they should. I do agree with Kat that I liked what they did with X-Men 3, with X-Men: The Last Stand, and they should do it more like that. I agree with that, but I mean, it's not gonna. Like I said, the cliches. It's not gonna go away anytime soon. But I still agree with you, Doug, on the fact that they should at least make them a little bit more competent, and they should at least learn
seriously
from their mistakes.
If one person's bullets are not working against a foe, having absolutely no effect whatsoever, and you have the same exact guns for every single person in the army, don't shoot. Just stand aside.
Don't shoot. No shoot.
Well, overall, this could have been a lot better. I mean, it's one of those movies where their heart was in the right place, and there was parts of this movie where the filmmaker's heart was in the right place, especially when they were talking about explaining some of the things, like some of the science and how there's a Kryptonian ship and how there's a Kryptonian ship on Earth, like the whole Fortress of Solitude. I guess what they were trying to do. But I mean, apart from what they were trying to do, even with the whole tone of the movie, and I liked that, the way it was, the rest of the story is just plagued. It's just plagued with just insulting the audience's intelligence, and just bad cutaways and just bad storytelling. It's just all those problems, ruins the entire atmosphere of the movie. I mean, the tone of it was fine, except that the story could have been a lot better. It needed another rewrite, absolutely. But I mean, if somebody can please explain, if some Superman fan can please explain to me why this movie is good. I mean, even from someone who's not a big Superman fan, if someone could try to explain to me why this movie is good, apart from the action stuff. Don't just use the action stuff. I know the action stuff was fine, but nothing with but anything that's not action related, why this movie is good. And I'd be more than willing to discuss, but we'll see.
Alright, Doug.
A movie should contain more substance than just looking pretty, or just looking a certain artsy way. And if you are judging it just on being an artsy film, then you're not watching the whole movie. I'd like to quote Dark Helmet from Spaceballs for this movie. Evil will always triumph because good is dumb. That pretty much reflects what I think of the movie. I think, yes, like Eric and you, I'm not that big a Superman fan, but, it's just, you gotta make it more appealing. And you can't just, cut corners or make it too slow. You gotta find the right pace, and you gotta make the characters more appealing. I've wanted a Justice League movie, but having to sit through retcon after retcon, it just doesn't fill me with much confidence. And at this point, I'd rather they just abandon the project rather than making me sit through the same crap over and over again. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Who's the director of this? Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder?
Yep.
Zack Snyder, Superman is not Batman. No matter how much I'm sure you want him to be. No matter how much I'm sure the audience wishes that he was.
This matters as much as Christopher Nolan wants it to be.
Like, I understand if you want to rewrite him, like, give him more dimension, make him have somewhat of a more darker past, because obviously he was different growing up, had strange abilities he hadn't, learned to control yet. You know, Smallville did it, so obviously it can be done, but if you're gonna go make him full out emo, just fucking ruin the character, make it so that, you know, his home planet, Earth, which, you know, he's supposed to love and want to protect, like, go against him just to create drama, like, that doesn't work, alright? That just makes it look like that, hey, this guy, he's like Batman, but he's not Batman, you know, he's dark and brooding, and hey, you're gonna like him because he's exactly like Batman. He is not Batman! He will never be Batman! And that's part of what I like about Superman, is that, yes, he technically is an outcast. He technically has a more tragic backstory than Batman does. But at the same time, he doesn't let that get him down. He has a home on Earth. That is why he is Earth's protector. Because he grew up on Earth. He loves these people. That's why he does anything he can to protect it. And you completely went against all of that. And you just fucked up the story so bad. He is not Batman. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Like, seriously, folks, do not see this movie. Do not see this movie. Like,
do not waste your money.
Don't waste your money, even for a
Don't let
second.
them get your money for this.
Like, do not support this type of movie making. This movie making, like I said, is fucking horrendous. Like, not just from a character standpoint, not just from a story standpoint, but from a cinematography standpoint. Like, from every single standpoint about, you know, from every single standpoint that makes a movie a good movie. Like, do not give these people your money. Like, do not support this. Like I said, I too wished for a Justice League movie. I really, really did. Like, I wanted to see all these other superheroes, like, finally get the movies they deserved. I want to see a Wonder Woman movie. I want to see a Flash movie. I want to see a good Green Lantern movie. But this movie, it destroyed my hope of any of that ever happening. And I will never forgive you for that, Zack Snyder. Like, I honest to God hope that in maybe 10 years or so, once this has been swept under the rug and forgotten, that there might be a chance for a good Superman movie. But right now, that does not seem possible.
Yeah, even Green Lantern is looking better than Man of Steel.
Yes. So, that is my thoughts. Like I said, I don't know what I'd say to you Superman fans out there. Apparently, I've heard some Superman fans actually like this movie. I get, if it's your cup of tea, I mean, okay, whatever, you know, I can't really judge, but from my point of view, it's horrible. Yeah. It's a terrible, terrible movie. And I don't know if any amount of rewatches or analyzing will undo that or not, or if I'll feel different in the morning, but right now it's bad.
Yeah. Take your fan bias glasses off and view it as an actual movie and see if you feel any different. But I don't know if you can watch this as a fan or not. Because, like I said, I'm not that big a fan.
So yeah, on behalf of Crazy Crew, who has watched many a movie, both good and bad, like, this is a movie I don't think any of us can endorse. Even if you're a casual movie viewer.
As much as a lot of Superman fans want to endorse this movie, I mean, I wanted to. I seriously wanted to endorse this movie, because, I mean, I saw Superman Returns, and, yeah, it was just, you know, it was all, like you were mentioning, like, they had everybody look the part, but, I mean, then again, this movie had it too, but...
Even that was better than Man of Steel.
Take your money. Go see Star Trek again.
Yeah, go see Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes, a good movie.
That movie was awesome.
Till next time, when we do the vlog, I'm Catsy Critic.
I am Y2 Staller.
And I'm One Sat Morn.
And we'll see you next time. If we don't die first. from stupidity.